Deep beneath Geneva, the Large Hadron Collider, LHC, is a mind-blowing feat of engineering that could either unlock the universe's secrets or, some fear, end us all. This superpowered machine lets scientists smash tiny particles together to figure out what makes up everything around us, like finding the famous God particle, the Higgs boson. Brian Cox, a famous physicist, stirred things up when he hinted they might have found something huge at CERN, the lab that runs the LHC. But before we freak out, let's talk about how this thing works. The LHC is basically a huge, 17-mile ring of supercool magnets, the most powerful particle accelerator ever made. It can recreate the conditions right after the Big Bang like a time machine for scientists. CERN, founded way back in 1954, is a big shot in the science world, with tons of countries involved and experts from all over. The LHC is its main attraction, part of a whole network of machines exploring the tiniest bits of matter. The LHC sends protons zooming at almost the speed of light, smashing them together to make crazy hot temperatures, hotter than the sun. Powerful magnets keep the protons on track, and supercool systems keep everything colder than outer space. This whole thing is built deep underground to shield it from radiation. When the particles crash, it's like a tiny explosion, and detectors like ATLAS, CMS, ALICE, and LHCb record what happens. Scientists then sift through the mess looking for the Higgs boson, which helps explain why things have mass. The LHC shows how smart and ambitious we are as humans, but it also raises some big questions. Are there risks to playing with the unknown? Could trying to control nature backfire? Cox, who used to work at CERN, caused a stir when he said they might be recreating a mini Big Bang. Think about that, a lab-made version of the universe's creation. Obviously, this could help us find the Higgs boson and study dark matter, that mysterious stuff that makes up most of the universe. But there's a scary side to all this power. What if something goes wrong? Back in 1978, a Russian scientist named Anatoly Bugorsky had an accident with a particle beam, and it messed him up pretty bad. Luckily, he lived, but it shows how dangerous these machines can be. Some scientists worry about the LHC creating tiny black holes or triggering vacuum decay, which sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. A black hole could suck up everything, and vacuum decay could destroy the universe. CERN says not to worry, that any black holes would disappear right away. They explain that when particles smash together at high speeds, it could warp space-time, like dropping a bowling ball on a trampoline. This warping could create a tiny black hole. Even smart guys like Stephen Hawking were concerned. He warned that the Higgs boson could become unstable and cause vacuum decay. Sir Martin Ree, another smarty, also wrote about the possible dangers in his book, Our Final Century. Even if the risks are small, we should still think about them because the stakes are so high. CERN has taken safety measures, but exploring the unknown always involves some risk. Pushing boundaries is how we've made progress, but we need to be careful. The LHC is a crazy powerful machine with the potential for amazing discoveries. But we need to be aware of the risks, talk about them openly, and make sure we're being as safe as possible as we try to understand the universe. It's a place where the biggest scientific questions are being asked, which carries both huge chances and dangers. It collides subatomic components that are moving at near the speed of light, which results in conditions akin to those that existed in the earliest moments of the cosmos. The LHC allows researchers to learn more about the Higgs boson and other fundamental components that exist. Brian Cox, a famous physicist, said something found at CERN, where the LHC is, could change everything we know, even religion. So, how does the LHC work? CERN built it. It's a huge, 17-mile ring with special magnets that speed up particles really fast. By crashing these particles together, scientists recreate the conditions right after the Big Bang, the event that started our universe. It's like going back in time to see how it all began. CERN, founded way back in 1954, is a big deal in science. Lots of countries are part of it, and they have tons of smart people working there. The LHC is their main project, but it's just one part of a whole bunch of machines used to study tiny stuff. The LHC speeds up protons, tiny particles, to almost the speed of light and smashes them together. The energy from these crashes is super high, hotter than the sun. Magnets keep the protons on track, and special cooling systems keep everything colder than space to keep the magnets working right. These crashes happen at 4 spots where giant detectors like ATLAS and CMS are set up. These detectors record what happens in the crashes so scientists can look for things like the Higgs boson, which helps us understand how the universe is put together. The LHC is a big achievement for humans. It shows how curious we are and how much we want to understand the universe. But it also brings up some big questions. What if we mess something up? Could we accidentally create something dangerous? That brings us back to Brian Cox's comments. People are kind of worried that he said something big was found at CERN. The LHC is meant to recreate a mini version of the Big Bang. Scientists can make new stuff and study things like dark matter, which makes up most of the universe. But what if something goes wrong? One time, a Russian scientist named Anatoly Bugorsky got zapped by a particle beam and got hurt. It shows things at the LHC are intense. Some people worry about things like creating black holes or messing with the way space works. CERN says any black holes would be tiny and disappear fast. When protons crash together, they create so much energy that they could warp space. It's like dropping a bowling ball on a trampoline. It makes a dent. Some scientists, like the late Stephen Hawking, warned about the Higgs boson becoming unstable and destroying the universe. A scientist named Martin Ree also freaked out about experiments at CERN, saying they could cause a vacuum instability that would mess up space. CERN says they've checked everything carefully and that chances of a disaster are super low. But exploring the unknown always has risks. The LHC is the result of years of work and cooperation between countries. It's helping us understand the universe, but there are possible risks and ethical questions. Scientists should be careful and tell people what's going on. The LHC taps into energy and forces most people can't even imagine. Smashing particles together creates conditions like those at the beginning of the universe, which lets scientists study the building blocks of matter and space. But it also creates real, significant risks, both known and unknown. One concern is making tiny black holes or weird stuff that could have bad results. Scientists are working hard to be safe, but there is no way to ensure everything will be all right. The LHC is helping us learn about the particles that make up the universe. It lets scientists recreate the conditions right after the Big Bang and study the Higgs boson. Finding the Higgs boson showed that the Higgs field exists, which gives mass to other particles. It was a big deal for understanding how the universe works. However, there are dangers and ethical problems too. The particle collisions are really powerful, and there's a small chance of making new stuff or causing weird reactions. Brian Cox saying the LHC might recreate a mini Big Bang shows how important and potentially dangerous this research is. The LHC is a big achievement, but it also makes us think about the limits and duties of science. It explores the unknown and raises questions about scientific risk and ethics. One awesome thing the LHC does is recreate conditions from right after the Big Bang. It's like looking back in time. This lets scientists study particles from the early universe and test their ideas. For example, they're trying to understand dark matter, which makes up a lot of the universe but is hard to see. The LHC might be able to make dark matter particles, which would change everything. The LHC looks into the strong force, which holds atoms together. Understanding it could give insight into the basic material that makes up everything. Technology developed for the LHC has impacted other fields like computers and communication. The World Wide Web was originally created to share data from CERN experiments. Breakthroughs from the LHC are impacting progress across the world. It requires a great deal of caution, though, as these discoveries come with potential hazards for everyone. This requires that scientists approach the studies with transparency and caution to ensure safety protocols are well established so the public may become well informed about the risks. The LHC is amazing and helps us learn about reality. It looks at tiny particles, which is important for knowing about the world. The LHC lets scientists see how things were right after the Big Bang and study the Higgs boson, which is what gives things mass. It confirmed everything about the universe we thought we knew. But there are dangers and tough questions. The LHC crashes particles with a lot of energy. It might create new things or reactions we weren't expecting. Some worry about making black holes or weird things. Most scientists think it won't happen, but learning means going into the unknown. Brian Cox says the LHC could make a mini Big Bang, which points out how big and dangerous this research is. The LHC is great, but also gets us thinking about how far we should go with science and who is responsible, and if there could be risk. One of the cool things about the LHC is that it can make things like they were just after the Big Bang. So scientists can study the first particles that ever existed. Tests ideas about physics. For example, the LHC might find dark matter particles. Understanding dark matter would change how we see the universe. It all relates to the LHC and that it is essential to science and finding new stuff. It also helps us learn about the strong force, which holds atoms together and how it works at high energies. Could help us understand atoms better. The technology used in LHC is very important not just in the world of physics. The systems used to study particles in the machine have led to new progress in technology, data, and sensors. The World Wide Web was conceived to help scientists share data at CERN. It also makes sure that the experiment has safety measures and ethical principles due to the possibility of new results caused by new atoms, but the chances of catastrophic events are low, but scientists have developed strategies. However, it doesn't entirely take the possibility away, but they are proceeding with the process in a cautious and transparent way while making sure that the strategy is robust and inform everyone.